Boosie. What's worse? A nigga gone to PC to protect himself, to get back to his family, or a nigga that's snitching and sending the niggas to the motherfucking penitentiary, taking a nigga away from his family? You tell me.
Turk, how the fuck you gonna co-sign a nigga going in PC, my nigga? A nigga who supposed to be real, a nigga supposed to be a gangster. Like, what you on, my nigga? Like, for real, like, you talking about a nigga who done made kids slang iron, go to jail, told niggas you go to jail, you gotta handle your business, do all this shit. And all these little niggas in jail gotta sit in there and survive. But it's cool with this nigga hiding in a cell. Talking about a nigga supposed to protect the brand. Nigga, you promoting PC, nigga. A nigga supposed to protect the brand and check PC. Didn't you say you was a brand, nigga? So you gonna check PC if you go to her. Is you gonna protect the brand, nigga? You down bad, nigga. You know how this shit, nigga, you from the city, nigga. You from the city, my nigga. That means something, my nigga. That nigga say the nigga supposed to check PC. This nigga an advocate for PC now. Man, this nigga, bro. This nigga Turk. Do you really feel like that, or you just talking, my nigga? What you on, my nigga?
Your perspective highlights two completely different frameworks that Turk and Boosie Bedaz are operating from. Turk is approaching the situation from a strategic and business-oriented mindset, while Boosie is speaking from the standpoint of street credibility and authenticity within the culture. When Turk talks about a well-known rapper choosing protective custody over general population, he's looking at it through the lens of brand preservation. In his view, when someone becomes the face of a movement, a label, or a community, their safety becomes bigger than their personal pride. If something happens to that individual in prison, it doesn't just affect them, it can damage everything connected to their name. History has already shown how powerful figures can hold entire communities, brands, and movements together. When Nipsey Hussle passed away, it left a huge void, not just in music, but also in the business ventures and community initiatives he represented. That's the logic Turk is referring to when he says protecting the head protects the entire body. On the other side, Boosie's argument is rooted in the culture of believability within gangster rap. For decades, part of the appeal of street-oriented hip-hop has been the perception that the artist is living the life they rap about. When someone builds their brand around being active in the streets, standing on business, and never backing down from pressure, fans from certain parts of the culture expect that same energy in real-life situations. From Boosie's perspective, going to general population represents standing on what you claim in your music. If someone who built their career on street credibility suddenly chooses the safest route when things get real, critics will say the image was manufactured. In that environment, perception becomes everything, because once people start believing that an artist's persona is fake, the authenticity of their entire catalog comes into question. The power of believability is what sits at the center of this debate. In hip-hop, credibility has always been currency. Fans want to believe the stories being told, and the moment that belief disappears, the artist can lose the emotional connection that made people support them in the first place. When listeners feel like an artist truly represents the lifestyle they rap about, it strengthens their brand, increases loyalty, and keeps their music resonating with the culture. But if that believability cracks, even if the accusations aren't fully accurate, the damage can be significant, because perception often matters more than reality in the public eye. At the same time, believability can work in different ways depending on what audience an artist is trying to reach. A rapper who markets themselves strictly as a street figure may face harsher judgment from that smaller but very vocal segment of the culture if they appear to move differently in real life. Meanwhile, artists who position themselves more as entrepreneurs, entertainers, or community leaders might not face that same pressure because their brand isn't built solely on street reputation. That's why Turk's argument leans more toward protecting the longevity of the brand, while Boosie is focused on maintaining the image that built the brand in the first place. Ultimately, both viewpoints carry weight because they represent two realities within hip-hop. One side values survival, longevity, and protecting the bigger picture, while the other values authenticity and standing on the image that attracted fans. The artists who manage to succeed long-term are usually the ones who find a balance between those two worlds, keeping their credibility intact while also making decisions that protect their life, their freedom, and the future of everything they've built. The real solution to a debate like the one between Turk and Boosie Badass is understanding that both perspectives can exist at the same time. But an artist has to be strategic about how they build and manage their image from the beginning. The root of the conflict comes from the expectations placed on rappers who market themselves around street credibility. When a rapper consistently raps about being active in the streets, standing on business, and never folding under pressure, the audience starts to treat those lyrics as a reflection of real life. That's where the power of believability comes in. Believability is what makes fans emotionally invest in an artist. If people believe the story, they support the music harder, defend the artist online, and stay loyal to the brand. But once that belief is questioned, the entire foundation of that image can start to crack. The first solution is for artists to understand that branding matters just as much as talent. If someone builds their entire brand around being a street figure, they also have to accept that people will judge them by street standards. That means every action will be examined under a microscope. If they say they never back down from pressure, people will expect that same energy when situations arise in real life. This is why Boosie's argument resonates with a certain segment of the culture. In the gangster rap world, authenticity is currency. Fans who come from those environments often don't separate music from reality. To them, if a person claims something in their music but behaves differently when the moment comes, it damages the believability of everything they've said. However, the second solution is understanding the bigger picture that Turk is talking about. When an artist becomes successful, their life becomes bigger than street validation. At that point, they represent employees, families, business partners, and entire communities that rely on their success. When someone reaches that level, protecting their life and their brand becomes the priority. Turk's logic is that if something happens to the main figure holding everything together, the entire structure collapses. History has shown how influential figures can carry entire movements. When Nipsey Hussle passed away, it wasn't just a loss for music. It affected businesses, community projects, and people who depended on his leadership. That's why Turk's perspective is about survival and longevity, rather than proving a point in a dangerous environment. Another solution is for artists to evolve their messaging as their career grows. Early in a career, some rappers lean heavily into street narratives because it captures attention and builds credibility in certain circles. But as they become more successful, the smartest move is expanding the brand beyond just street activity. That means showing growth, talking about business, investments, community work, and leadership. When an artist's image evolves, the pressure to constantly prove street credibility becomes less important because the brand is no longer built solely on that identity. This shift allows them to protect themselves without completely damaging their reputation. There's also a reality that perception plays a major role in hip-hop culture. Even if a person is genuinely solid in real life, if the public perception turns against them, it can still affect their brand. That's why artists have to be careful about how they move and how they communicate with their audience. Transparency and honesty can go a long way. If an artist explains that they are choosing safety because they have a family, businesses, and people depending on them, many fans will understand. The key is being consistent with the message. When the message aligns with the actions, believability remains intact. Another important factor is recognizing that not every fan cares about street validation. The majority of music listeners are focused on entertainment rather than authenticity debates. They care about good music, personality, and the overall brand. The group that cares deeply about street credibility is actually a smaller but louder part of the audience. Artists who understand this dynamic can make smarter decisions about how much they allow that pressure to influence their actions. Risking your life or freedom just to satisfy a small percentage of critics is rarely a smart, long-term move. The ultimate solution is balance. An artist can maintain credibility without putting themselves in unnecessary danger. Standing on business doesn't always mean proving toughness in the most extreme way possible. Sometimes it means standing on discipline, protecting your future, and making decisions that keep you alive and successful. True strength can also be shown through growth and maturity. Many people respect someone who learns from experiences and moves smarter rather than repeating the same patterns that destroy careers. In the end, the power of believability is what determines whether an artist's brand survives. If people believe the artist's story, their music will continue to resonate. But believability doesn't have to be limited to street activity. It can also come from authenticity in growth, honesty about past mistakes, and consistency between what a person says and how they live. The artists who last the longest are usually the ones who understand that credibility isn't just about toughness. It's about maintaining a reputation that people trust over time while protecting the life and opportunities that success has given them.